Welcome back, and now we take a look at the local news. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment has issued a release stating that an adult patient is currently being treated at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital after being diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain-Barré syndrome is a rare disorder in which a person's own immune system damages their nerves, causing weakness and sometimes paralysis. It is a condition that is varying in degrees of weakness, suspected to be related to Zika virus infection. According to the Ministry of Health, the patient is stable and is receiving the recommended treatment, immunoglobulin. However, they are advocating the strong use of insect repellents and the wearing of long-sleeve shirts and long skirts or pants to avoid being bitten as a method of prevention. Everyone is urged to get rid of all mosquito breeding sites on their properties by securely covering or turning over any containers holding water, placing fine mesh over the vents of septic tanks, and clearing gutters and spouting. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment says is providing psychosocial support to pregnant women who may have been exposed to the Zika virus and to monitor them regularly. Additionally, the Ministry is providing medicated mosquito nets to all pregnant women who are registered at our antenatal clinics. Last month, a pregnant woman was diagnosed among an additional 20 persons here who tested positive for Zika, the mosquito-borne illness that has been linked to microcephaly, a birth defect where a baby is being born with an underdeveloped head and brain. The Ministry of Health emphasizes the importance of everyone, not just pregnant women, using insect repellents and wearing long-sleeve shirts and long skirts or pants to avoid being bitten by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the vector which carries Zika, chikungunya, and dengue fever. Everyone is also being urged again to get rid of all mosquito breeding sites in their homes, yards, and workplaces by securely covering or turning over any containers holding water, placing fine mesh over the vents of septic tanks, and clearing gutters and spouting.
Zika is generally a mild viral disease that is spread by the bite of an infected female Aedes aegypti mosquito, the same mosquito which spreads the dengue fever and the chikungunya. If bitten by a mosquito infected with the Zika virus, you may experience fever, headache, rash, joint and muscle pain, and in some cases, red eye. Other associated symptoms of Zika viral disease are abdominal pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. Zika viral disease has been associated with microcephaly, a condition which causes babies to be born with unusually small heads if their mother was infected with the virus within the first 3 months of pregnancy. So pregnant women in particular need to protect themselves from being bitten by mosquitoes. In adults, Zika viral disease may cause Guillain-Barré syndrome, which causes muscle weakness and paralysis. To protect you and your family, you should all make a habit of wearing light-colored, long-sleeve shirts and long pants, especially early in the morning and in the evening. Use mosquito repellent on exposed skin and on clothing. Ensure drums and other water storage containers are properly covered. Inspect your premises for breeding sites for mosquitoes at least once a week and remove anything which can cause breeding. Protect yourself and your family.
On Saturday, July 9th, Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves, delivering the third eulogy at the state funeral of the Trinidad's former Prime Minister, the late Patrick Manning, in the Cathedral Church of the Holy Trinity, spoke of the bond shared between him and Mr. Manning, which began in the 1960s during their days at the University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, Jamaica.
Patrick Manning was my dear friend and comrade. He was my real brethren. I loved him very much. I shall remember him as a human being of the highest quality. I first met Patrick in the late 1960s when we were both students at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica. Drawn together by steel band music and the sense of being children of our unique and ennobling Caribbean civilization. Patrick and I were real tight political buddies. No two prime ministers were as selflessly bound as both of us.
Dr. Gonsalves said in his eulogy that the late Manning had a great and mischievous sense of humor, sharing a light-hearted bet. We should have delivered a Trinidad Oil field to him, the eventual winner. The Prime Minister also mentioned that the late Prime Minister Manning was very forgiving.
In his day, Patrick suffered at times not merely the slings and arrows of misfortune, not merely too from those who are full of sound and fury and signifying nothing, but very much from some of those who even benefited immensely and personally from his efforts, turned askance from him. That too is not surprising. I know that Patrick forgave them all because of the absence of malice in him, and because he had long realized that too many men and women, not all, are greedy and fickle by nature and live in a permanent condition of dissatisfaction and ingratitude. There is nothing you or I can do for any such person. We simply leave that matter to Almighty God.
Dr. Gonsalves also remembered Manning as a man of honor despite being in politics.
In Patrick, the love of honor never grew old. He was not possessed of that unprofitable part of life with which so many are obsessed. That is the gathering of wealth unjustly gained. Patrick died with his honor intact, his character unblemished, and his life work meritorious and rightly celebrated. Farewell, my dear friend and comrade.
Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, Timothy Antoine, is concerned over the potential loss of depositors' savings as a result of high bank fees and charges. The governor was speaking on the Central Bank's podcast ECCB Connects on May 25th. Governor Timothy Antoine explained how that could happen. The issue of increasing bank fees has been discussed at the highest levels in the region, but was thrust into the forefront recently when the Royal Bank of Canada and its subsidiaries announced a $25 monthly charge on personal accounts. Customers in St. Vincent responded by pulling their monies out of the banks in protest. Antoine said high commercial bank fees could leave depositors to feel they are being pushed out of the banking system. He advised persons to weigh their banking options carefully when deciding where to take their business. A female called into radio station Hot 97.1 this morning around 7:40 a.m. and claimed she was raped on Carnival Monday in the Solidarity car park. The woman claimed she reported the incident to the police headquarters and said she was laughed at and told she, quote, gave the man wife and was pushed out of the station. When IKtv called for a clip of the recording, we were told, quote, we don't record, sorry, end of quote. Then the call ended. IKtv is, however, aware of the law stating that all on-air conversations by any radio station must be recorded. News producer here at IKtv, Johnny Richardson, has questioned whether the receptionist was simply instructed not to give out the audio or if they're not following the code of law to simply record such programs. IKtv then tried contacting the public relations of the police with no answer up to news time. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has signed an on-air services agreement with Chile. The Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, signed the agreement earlier this week with Chilean Foreign Affairs Minister Geraldo Menuz in the presence of Chilean President Michelle Bachelet. The agreement was signed during the bilateral meetings at CARICOM's 37th Heads of Government Conference in Guyana. Prime Minister Gonsalves had a bilateral meeting with the Chilean President before the plenary sessions at the Pegasus Hotel in Georgetown on Tuesday. The signing of this air service agreement comes as plans advance for the impending opening of the Argyle International Airport here. The annual Youth Development Summer Program organized by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Coast Guard Service will commence next Monday at the Coast Guard base at Caliacua. The program, which is being hosted in association with the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Sagicor Incorporation, will be conducted from July 11th to August 20th in 3 phases under the theme, Shaping Our Youths for Life's High Seas. Phase 1 will take place from July the 11th to the 19th, Phase 2 from July 25th to August 2nd, and Phase 3 from August 8th to the 16th. Program Coordinator Petty Officer Kenneth Francis said in a release that this summer program is aimed at exposing participants to basic leadership skills and personal development, safety at sea, swimming and life-saving, boat handling, conflict resolution, sexual reproductive health and highlights, among other things.